Starts with Pags and our ownership group, and we're trying to win. And we're going to try to do the best to put our best foot forward to do that. The required part of that is the right talent to build around it. And so it's about winning.
KJ and Dondero, WEEI, good July 3rd to you. It feels like it's a holiday, but it's not. Like some people have to work and some people don't. Thank you so much for being here. 617-779-7937. Text line 37937. Mark, that's Brad Stevens at the presser for Kristaps Porzingis saying it may not be done just yet because we're in win mode now. So I ask, is it Dame time here?
KJ, what up? Happy 4th. Good to be with you.
It doesn't feel weird that it's not the 4th, but yet it feels very much like the 4th?
Not really. I can get on board with it being July 3rd. Tomorrow's the 4th. You know, it's always kind of weird when these big holidays come in the middle of the week. But I guess there were people talking about fireworks today, and there's, you know, I hear what you're saying. Is it Dame time? No. I have a lot of developing opinions on this Damian Lillard thing, and things, frankly, KJ, that I'm uncomfortable with. Okay, I'm getting more and more uncomfortable with some of these narratives and the scoops that are out there surrounding the Celtics and or Jason Tatum.
You're talking about the Mark Spears column in SI about
just
potentially
the overall premise of Damian Lillard coming here. I don't know. I'll start with this. If Damian Lillard comes here, whether the Celtics pursue him, whether Jason Tatum is recruiting him, whether it's a fan trying to say, I want him here, I think what comes along with that, and you can tell me whether or not you disagree, you, the Celtics, the fan, Brad Stevens, Tatum, you're basically saying, okay, Jason Tatum isn't a number one option, isn't a number one player, and I need one in here now. Let's go get Damian Lillard. So, that whole prospect feels awkward to me based on where we've been.
The other side of that coin, and I don't think Damian Lillard is the answer or even a solution or even a help at this point. I'll get into that in a second. I think it would have to be a situation where Tatum is still the number one guy. If you think about LeBron going to Miami, you remember the statement was, hey, this is Dwayne Wade's team. And I think that would be the situation again if let's just say Damian Lillard, they put something together for him to come here. And I think the names that have been bandied about, and that's SI, the article, it was like Robert Williams, Peyton Pritchard, and Brogdon, and a couple of picks. I don't think that's enticing enough for Portland. I still believe that Portland wants to get a superstar back. But I think if Damian Lillard comes here, he would be the number two. And this is kind of crazy to think about it. He may be the two behind Jason Tatum. And if that's the case, then where does that leave Jaylen Brown in the mix of things? So that's why I don't think that's a real possibility. Now, if the Celtics are interested and they are making phone calls, and if I'm Portland, I would say don't leave me a message unless you're talking about Jaylen Brown coming back. Because then you would give Jaylen Brown the opportunity to be the number 1-4 team, a young guy. He's right there right now, next to Nike out there. He can do his social influence stuff and so forth. So if I'm Portland, I don't even know that the Celtics even have or offering what we would want for it to even happen.
Okay, couple things. Now I want to be clear about this. I don't want them, the Celtics, to exchange Jaylen Brown for Damian Lillard. But if they're going to do that, if they're going to get Lillard, I think you have to get rid of Jaylen Brown. I think it has to be with Jaylen Brown a part of that deal. Okay, here's the other thing that makes me uncomfortable, just to further that point. You brought up the Heat and Dwayne Wade and LeBron James. When LeBron James did that, remember, Dwayne Wade had already won a Finals MVP. He had already been to the top of the mountain. He had already led his team there. Okay, so at that time, the Heat, they needed help. They needed more talent. They had concocted the idea whenever at the Olympics in 2008, whatever that was. This is different because we all know, it's not going to be spoken outwardly, but we all know if the Celtics go for Damian Lillard, why they're doing that. I know myself, KJ, as a fan, if they get Damian Lillard, why deep down that would excite me. Again, I don't want them to do it because I think there are too many moving parts.
That'd be a better shooter in the backcourt for a change.
Let's just get it out there and say it. The reason anybody and everybody is infatuated or might be infatuated by the idea of Damian Lillard coming to Boston is because they're not comfortable or confident enough in Jason Tatum's ability to close at the end of games, and or the Celtics overall, their ability to close at the end of games. That's awkward, okay? Because you've got one of the best first-team All-NBA. And that's what when you're Tatum, an elite offensive guy, this isn't first-team All-NBA, go pick a defensive-minded player.
Yeah, but I think we still have to kind of look through the lens of Lillard, who says allegedly that it's Miami or nothing. But I think it's Portland. It's like, hey, Tyler Hero isn't enough. And shout out to Max Strus and Gabe Vincent for getting off of the boat before they knew that they were going to be part of a package for Dame Lillard to go to Portland. It's now that like Miami doesn't have enough for Portland. I think the Celtics have enough for Portland. And if there's something that could be probed or pried or pricked to find out, does Jaylen Brown want to leave and become the alpha male of a young team where clearly he would be the star? Do you put that name forward? And in a way, it does make sense to have Lillard, Tatum, and Porzingis as your three,
yes,
because now you don't have people bumping into each other. There's no way I could see you could have Lillard, Brown, Tatum, and Porzingis. It would play a lot out like what happened with Phoenix, right?
That is correct.
Who is the odd man out? And it isn't necessarily going to be Porzingis because you're dealing with people like Embiid, you're dealing with Adebayo, so the big man is going to have to play some role. I don't like any trade that involves Robert Williams. The money, I think it only matches if you do something that says Brown and probably $10 million. It may be Al Horford's contract to match those numbers. Like it puts you like 41 to 45. I'm not here to do math. But the idea of like Tatum, Brown, Lillard, and Porzingis, while it sounds like, oh man, you would run everything, it might be just too much for them to be effective.
And I'm going to go back and say it again. I don't want them to trade Jaylen Brown. But if you're going to commit to going after Damian Lillard, I think Brown has to be a part of the deal because just of what you just said, that's too many things. It's too many pieces. It's too many things. That's messy. And the other reason I'm totally uncomfortable, based on how they played defense last year, I'm totally uncomfortable with the thought of losing Marcus Smart, whether or not, and I'm one of the people that thought his defense wasn't quite defensive.
Though I
player
did say
of the year.
He was the guy that was probably in the talks of getting traded.
Well,
I did say that. Yeah.
His defense isn't. I think in any sport, when you win Defensive Player of the Year, you've peaked, and it only goes downhill from there. And we've seen too many examples where, and we can get into the Marcus Smart thing.
You know what it is? You know what it is? If he won Defensive Player of the Year in the West and he won it as a guard, it's still very valuable, right? In the East, it's about getting past some type of big man. We're not guard dominated in the East.
No, that's true. But in the finals, they needed the guard help. They needed to defend the guards, and he couldn't do it with Steph Curry. Okay, and he had his issues with Drew Holiday too in the Milwaukee series. I'm not going into that right now. I just think you lose him, he's still a defensive presence for your team, a cornerstone defensively. Personally, I'm uncomfortable losing Marcus Smart and Robert Williams after the year you just had defensively. That would not be something that I'd be comfortable, doing right now. So I think if you're going to commit to trying to get Damian Lillard here, Jaylen Brown has to be a part of the deal, which is then awkward because then we hear via SI that Jason Tatum is trying to recruit or reportedly putting out feelers or recruiting Damian Lillard or trying to gauge his or whatever it is, which would be weird because Jaylen Brown's his boy. So right. I don't see that happening or take that seriously necessarily. It's a very convoluted situation. That's why I've concluded I don't think Damian Lillard coming here is what I want. I know that's not what I want.
KJ and Dondero, 617-779-7937. Text line 37937 still to come. Did Verdugo get screwed out of the All-Star game? We got a Red Sox parody for you. Plus Boston sports and American Revolution. We salute some of our forefathers who allowed us to be here. Well, some of y'all, not necessarily me. I'm kidding. Plus, you like that little dark humor there. Plus, your thoughts on the Patriots and all this free agency. Maybe people are hoping at Christmas in July with D-Hop and with Dalvin Cook.